I think a lot of people think when they think hospital, just like nurses, doctors, and medical bills, right? Like that's just what they think.
Yeah.
But we have so many other positions that are just as important, right? And so we want, great quality students, and that's what we're doing is trying to show them exactly how a hospital operates.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Ignite where we discuss hot topics from our campus. I'm your host, Gianna Bacchiocchi, and here I am with our new co-host,
Matthew Taylor.
Matthew!
Hey everyone, I'm so glad to be here as part of Ignite this semester. I'll be working with Gianna as co-host, and I cannot wait.
We cannot wait to start kicking off this season with you. And Matthew, before we start off the episode, we're so curious. Tell us something about yourself that is interesting, fun, and something nobody would know about you.
Well, nobody would know. This is something that I feel like most people would know once you get to know me. I am a big camp person. I've always loved summer camp. I've spent the past 12 summers, like full summers at summer camp.
Wow.
And that, of course,
12 summers.
Yes,
No
full
way.
summers. I wasn't hired as a 6-year-old. I want to make sure people know that. But I've been going around with my parents. We did Camp Wakanda for about 6 years up in Wisconsin. And the past 6, we've been at Indian Creek. And I will be going back there this summer.
Wow. Okay, I have a question. Wakanda or ICC? Which camp do you prefer?
Whew. Okay, that's a difficult question. Indian Creek, I've had so much personal growth there. Wakanda was a lot more of like childhood memories. So it's like very different. It's hard to choose the two, but that's kind of the difference I have there.
Well, Matthew, we're so excited to have you with us this semester. And guys, we have such a fun episode planned for you guys today. We have special guests.
Recruiter extraordinaire from Advent Health, Brandon Strachan, and he's going to be giving us tips and pointers on how to hold a successful interview.
Let's get into the episode. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Brandon, tell us about yourself.
Awesome. Yes, so I am Brandon Strachan. I'm from Advent Health. Glad to be here. I'm a Southern alum.
Woo!
Oh, really?
Right? Clap it up. So I don't know why they asked me to come back, but I'm just grateful. Right?
Well, we're glad you're here.
Obviously,
We
I
are glad
contributed
you're here.
something when I was here, so yeah.
Yeah. So you say you work for Advent Health. What kind of thing do you do for Advent Health?
So right now, I am in a recruiter position specific with the Heritage Team. Heritage Team is pretty much, it covers all of the Adventist universities that we partner with. And so I go out to those Adventist universities and just make sure that we show presence and make sure that they understand that we have different programs such as leadership, summer internships, residency program, and then also non-clinical positions. I cover that as well. We have nurse recruiters for the other health sciences and stuff like that. But I cover more of the non-clinical positions. Yep.
Okay, awesome.
Yep. Yep.
So talking to you earlier, which was so much fun, Matthew and I had a great time talking
Yeah.
to you at the Meet
was
the
cool.
Firms, and you were telling us a little about your journey to get to this point. So tell us a little bit about the steps that it took for you to get here.
Definitely. I was able to get a position as a case manager with the help of some of the professors here at Southern because they knew some of the people that were at that agency. And so, connections.
It's all about connections,
Yes,
you know.
definitely. So I was kind of like, man, I tried to get a position in Virginia, but it just wasn't working out for me. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to go back to where I think I created a lot of connections. And I was so, I was just removed from Southern, right? It was only like, it was within the year. So I was like, okay, hopefully no one forgot about me. And they didn't, gratefully. And so, so I was able to land a position as a caseworker. So I was doing that in the community, Chattanooga, working with Chandler Center. And then after that, I broke right into recruiting, and it's pretty much been it. I haven't been with Advent Health. I've been with Advent Health for about 3 years, but prior to that, I was with a different agency doing recruitment.
Wow.
Yeah, awesome. Well, if you could go back, how important would you say internships were, like leading into a career? And what do you recommend to students getting into internships?
Yeah, so I think that as early as possible. And I think when we think of internships, we think that the title has to be intern, right? I think that experience is, whether it's paid, unpaid, volunteer, right? I think that you really have to take initiative just to contact different employers and just ask, how can I help? Like, how can I contribute? That's like the biggest question that I would say every student needs to ask an employer.
Yeah.
How can I contribute, right? Because it allows you to understand whether or not, based on their answer, okay, like, do I even have what it takes to contribute to your company? But back to the point of internship, I would say it's very important to make sure that you're connecting with, potential employers for, after graduating, and to just build connections. So it could be 2 weeks, but in those 2 weeks, you could work on at least maybe a project or two, and just develop a relationship. Yeah, so it's very important.
Wow.
Yeah.
So going back to your first interview process, what would be some advice that you would give somebody who's stepping into that internship interview to generate better success and potentially hopefully get hired?
Right. I think that if I had to go back, I was very nervous. I was probably smiling, but smiling.
You and
nervous
everybody
smiling.
else,
Yeah, so happy to be here, but I don't know what I'm doing. I think, especially if you're going for an internship, like I said, I would research the company, figure out exactly how you fit in based on the skills that you have, and make sure that you're confident in what you do know, right? You don't know everything,
right?
And if you try to act as if you do know everything, I think that's a negative, to a company. They want someone who is teachable, who's coachable, but they also want someone who's confident in what they already have. So whatever you're bringing, be very confident in what you already have.
Yeah.
And I would say I wish I could have told myself that, I had a lot to offer. Maybe not exactly what the company was looking for, but I could have. They could have coached me on those skills. So as far as that, I should have been a little bit more confident in relaying what I can do.
And what you bring to the
right
table.
now.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's interesting because earlier you were talking to Matthew and I about how asking questions is actually very attractive to interviewers. Tell us about that, because we thought that was super interesting.
We did.
Yes, I think so. A lot of times whether it's for an internship, whether it's for after post-grad or whatever it may be, I just think for any job, yes, the employer is interviewing you, but you're interviewing them as well. You're testing them out, you're feeling them out, right? You want to know if this is going to be a good fit for you. And I think sometimes we just think okay, they're the people who potentially could pay me, so I'm just going to answer anything they want to, but I'm not going to have those questions. And you don't have to be obnoxious about it, right? But because, some people are, and they're just asking all these questions. It's whoa, you're not even hired yet. But I think it's important, once again, to research and then ask questions based off of what you've researched. But also asking a question to that interviewee, or the interviewer, just about maybe what their day in the life looks like, what was some of their trials and tribulations in working in the position that they're in, just so that it gives them the ability to kind of showboat a little bit, or at least, to feel important, right? And they love that. They eat that up. And I think, and I honestly think it's slept on, right? When you give the interviewer pretty much a platform to not only just do the interview, but talk about all that they've accomplished at the job, it gives you something to look forward to. It shows you that there's possible growth. You can find out a ton of things from that. Okay, is there growth within the company? Instead of just asking hey, can I grow within this company? Hey, can you tell me about how you've been able to grow in this company? That's a whole different, it kind of shifts the interview. So yeah, definitely asking questions is a thing. You should definitely do it. Yeah.
It also sheds a good light on you because you made them feel good. Hence, when they're looking back on your interview, they'll be like, that was a good one.
Right. How can you be memorable? That's a great way to be memorable.
I love it. I love it.
Definitely.
And you've touched on it a little bit, but what are some qualities, now on the other side, for the interviewer, that you see in the possible interns that you think they're very attractive qualities for a possible intern or worker?
I think one of the biggest qualities is being able to understand what you're good at, but also take life experiences and try and intertwine that within some of the job duties that they have, right? Because if you don't have work experience, you can't really say, I've done that before, right? But I've done something similar. I've had a situation where it kind of relates to, and if you can do that, right, without fluffing, right? You don't want to just kind of give too much fluff, right? And you want to speak truthfully, but if you can make connections, I think that's a huge.
It'll serve you well.
Yes, it will. Yeah.
So jumping a little bit to Advent Health itself, can I hear a little bit about Matthew and I? Would we be able to hear a little bit about the programs, specifically the different internships and what they entail, what they're like? Tell us about that.
So for the leadership summer internships that they have, I know they have a couple of different tracks. They have, we just started a nursing internship, and so we have a nursing internship, a nursing leadership internship. We have business finance, right? We have an IT track. We have a mission and ministry track as well. They have a marketing track. I believe it's 7 in total. We have physician enterprise. So there's a couple different. I can keep listing them, right?
There's so many.
But what we want to do is make sure that when you're there for the summer, right? You're there for 10 to 12 weeks, and you're really just being ingrained in the system that we have, right? The culture, understanding what we do, how we act, the standard that Advent Health has. And we're allowing you to go to different departments, right? So if you're in HR management, you might want to go to the operations team, right? And talk to them about what they do, or even supply chain, and understand, how that works within the hospital. I think a lot of people think, when they think hospital, just like nurses, doctors, and medical bills, right? Like that's just what they think. But we have so many other positions that are just as important, right? And so we want, great quality students, and that's what we're doing, is trying to show them exactly how a hospital operates. You're going to be able to speak with some of the C-suite or executive level employees, and that's always great, right? They have great stories about how they were able to, climb the ladder, right? But they're also going to be talking to you about certain projects that you might be working on. And I think that's the biggest part, is being able to see all the other students that come together from the other schools, and they're just as competitive, they're just as hungry, to leave their mark, in the world, and you'll be working on projects with that cohort, so to speak, right? And seeing them come together and their brains all working together. So that's kind of what the summer internship entails,
That's good.
It's a good time.
Yeah,
They go on trips too, so we take them out on trips.
trips.
You gotta wine and dine,
Yes,
just a little bit. Just a
you
little
gotta
bit.
have some fun.
You have to.
You have to have some fun.
Yeah.
So I can't help but ask, but I'm sure that throughout your experiences, maybe yourself or someone else, you've seen an example of an interview that wasn't really up to par. It was a little bit, I guess, interesting, but also not a great example of how to conduct an interview.
Yeah, yes, definitely. So, okay, so, and I have plenty, right? So I think that, and I'll say this, every opportunity to speak to any potential employer should always be, you should always put a lot of value on it, right? Don't overwhelm yourself and kind of be too anxious and allow it to make you nervous. But what I'm saying is, a phone interview, right? I said that to lead into this. The phone interview, I was on a phone interview with an individual, and still important, right? Because that's the first step. Sometimes they get on a phone interview, and that will lead you to the next step, which may be an in-person interview, or now we live in the time of virtual, right? So a virtual interview. But I'm on this phone interview, and all I hear, I mean, it's going okay. All I hear is, ma'am, so do you want cheese with that, or do you want fries? And I'm like, wait, is this person in the drive-thru? And so I was kind of taken back, and I guess maybe they forgot to press mute or whatever it was, but not a good impression. Just
word.
It sounds.
They weren't really that nervous then, because
weren't
I
that
would
nervous.
not be
They're a
able to
little
eat
too
during an
casual,
interview. I'd
yeah.
be stressed.
They were chilling, and I don't know. It might have been Wendy's. It sounded like Wendy's, but they were
good taste. They have
right.
good taste.
They do. But yeah, I think that was like probably one of the worst. It just showed me that you don't value my time.
Yeah.
I mean,
A lack of competency almost.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have a ton of other stories, but that's probably the funniest and probably the worst one.
So really taking away, like making sure that you are showing that you care about this position in the interview.
Yeah, definitely.
So we've spoken on the importance of networking earlier, and I know that's something that is definitely something that we should hit in this interview. So tell us a bit about networking and connections and the importance that holds.
Definitely. I think that, personally, I believe that I was able to get the majority of the jobs that I've had through networking, right? I do see myself, your connections. And I think I tell students this all the time when I go and speak to them. Now is when you need to be breaking out that your notes in your phone. Everybody has a notes app. And the people that you meet that you think add value, just start writing them down. You don't know who you're gonna meet, right? I went to a classroom the other day, and I was talking to them about the importance of resume building and LinkedIn and different things like that. And I said, hey, does everyone have LinkedIn in here? And there, about half raised their hand. And then of the half, I'm like, are you guys all friends on LinkedIn? And they're like, no. I'm like, wait, what? So I said that to say you don't know who you're in the classroom with right now, right? I have some buddies who have been able to help me in some of my job searches in the past just because of the position that they had. They're like, hey, I know about this position here or there. And, I'm just glad that I made that connection during college or at any point, right? But specifically speaking in college, if you're in college, this is like the best time to get a jump on someone who may start
Wow,
Facebook,
yeah.
right? I'm just saying,
Right.
like, or Uber or something like
Yeah.
that. So networking is great. And if you have issues with networking, if you're a nervous person, I always give a couple tips, right? If you're at an expo or you're at a networking mixer or anything like that, or just if you're in a classroom or whatever, 3 or 4 good questions to ask is, hey, what's your name? Where are you from? Right? Like, where are you from? Where is your family from? Like, people don't mind talking about that, right? And then your follow-up question could be, hey, like, what's something you like to do for fun? That just kind of breaks the ice, right?
That's
I get it. We're not
good.
all extroverts, right? And then ask them, like, hey, is there anything that you're doing right now as far as attempting to, like, get a position, whether internship, like, what are you interested in that you're willing to follow? What are your passions, right? And people love talking about their passions, they love talking about their family, and they love talking about where they're from. So if you can stay just in that realm, family, passion, where they're from, that usually tells you a lot about people, but it also kind of breaks down that wall of, man, especially if you're talking to someone who may be an executive in a company, if you're at a network mixer, it may be a little bit, you may be nervous, or you may be a little bit scared, to speak with them, but family, passion, and where they're from, everyone, that kind of like brings everything back down to
Yeah.
earth. So yeah, networking is extremely important. Actually, my supervisor now, I went to school with him.
Wow.
Mind you, I did not know him when we were here. Like, I saw him, but it wasn't someone, like, we weren't, close friends or anything like that. I don't remember him when I was here. But just the fact that we went to the same school, he saw me on LinkedIn, I saw him on LinkedIn, I'm like, okay, I know that we went to the same school, we must share some of the same values, some of the same standards.
Find shared roots.
Right,
Yeah.
some of the same work ethic,
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just really, really excited for students being able to be in college amongst all other students and get a head start on, like, some of
Yeah.
these companies that you guys are all going to start, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
CEOs, COOs,
so
and,
exciting.
all around. Yeah.
And to close off, I want to ask you one last question.
Okay.
If you could tell your 20-year-old self one thing, what would you tell yourself?
Oh man, 20 years old. I think was I a junior?
I think it would be a
Yeah,
junior
that
or
would
like a
be junior.
sophomore.
Yeah, junior, sophomore. Okay, I think I was a junior. If I was 20, I would just tell myself that where I was then, financially, like, spiritually, mentally, is not where I would be, now. And, like, I mean in a positive way, right? Like, so we put so much weight on being in the future, and we don't spend time in the present. Like, I wish I would have enjoyed the journey more. Like, Southern was awesome to me. I had so many great opportunities that I took advantage of. Club president, different things like that, right? Like, being able to work on projects and different things
Yeah.
like that. And I should have enjoyed those moments and understood that these moments are not had by everyone, right?
The
So
present is a gift.
yes,
the
it
journey.
really is. And I know it's so cliche, but you only realize it when it's gone. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I wish. But yeah, 20-year-old me, I would just tell myself, like, you're doing really great right now. And don't get complacent, but man, like, really, really enjoy the moment.
That's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
Life-changing stuff there.
Yeah,
I
no,
hope
that
so. I hope so.
dude, like, I needed to hear that.
me
Thank you
too.
so much.
Great,
Well,
great.
Brandon, you have been amazing, and we are so privileged to have been able to spend these last couple minutes interviewing you and getting to know you more. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, no, I'm very appreciative. Thank you guys for having me.
Of course.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. We're so excited to be back, and we had such a fun time talking to Brandon. He was so informational and educational and also inspiring. He had so many amazing tips, so hopefully you guys got something from it.
You can support Ignite by subscribing to our channel and finding us on Instagram. Thank you so much for watching.
See you guys next time.